This Explore the Pocono Mountains 225 Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their Pick 8. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. We are also brought to you by Rhythm. Build your own betting model using their AI betting engine. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Whether they're street circuits, road courses, short tracks, super speedways, or triangles, there's plenty of ways to talk racing things. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He, as always, is Cody Zeeb. I am Rod Villagomez. And Cody, like I said in the intro, we're talking triangles on a NASCAR circuit.
We are talking triangles. Apologies to everyone on the rain-delayed start to the podcast. Rod didn't update the time. I'm going to throw him under the bus. The chat was hopping earlier. It's already hopping again now. So Andrew is boycotting Xfinity until they give us top 10s. Yes. Can't say that I argue too much with you there. JB with the let's go. Time to win some cash. Also wants me to find a way to get on SVG for Pocono. Good luck with that, my friend. Justin, our buddy checking in, says Ryan Truex season. We'll be talking a little bit about Mr. Truex today.
There will be some familiar names that we're talking about over the course of this episode. I saw a lot in Discord already this is what you got to love about Discord. And I know that there's folks that are jumping in now, but like the second odds drop, there is already just all sorts of everybody throwing names out there. So you got to love it. And we were already all over some of them. Yes, some of the familiar names will be in this, but not maybe the capacity that you think. Because this is definitely a race that is unlike any other. And we talked about in the Cup Series episode last night where comp tracks can't really comp too many, but you can say, it's a 2.5 mile just triangle. That's really all this is. You can't really equate it to anything else. So we'll take what they've done at Pocono and the Xfinity Series. Not been to Pocono that many years. They don't have a long storied history in Pocono like the Cup Series do.
Yeah, enough though. I mean, really, especially for the guys that are in here. But as we know, Xfinity guys, like, hard to look too much back other than guys like Allgaier and then like Crafton in the Truck Series, of course, the guys that have been to the places plenty of times. But JDK wants to know if we had time to do a survey lap, change the tires. We did. Rod is elected to go to the wet weather tires. I like to play on the dangerous side of things. I'm gonna stay on the slicks. So JDK says Cody likes pain, and Rod, we know who you love. He's already been guessing who our bets are, so that's been a fun game. Jessica checking in. Hey, guys. Hey, Jessica. How's it going?
Hi, Jessica. Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. Like Cody said, look, if you're listening on the traditional podcast format, you have no clue that that time warped happened, and we were 3 hours. And I was supposed to change it, so I apologize for that. But I chose to be a man today and change my brake light. I changed the little fuse that makes my brake lights work again. So I definitely was proud of myself for that. So sorry, we did that. Plus we had to kind of move it back anyways. A lot of stuff going on today for everybody.
Your brother checking in says, I'll say it, I don't care for Pocono. Changed my mind. This is the first time I've ever heard that somebody doesn't like Pocono. I mean, what could you possibly hate about Pocono? I don't know. It seems like it's totally different from anything else we have, right? It's a triangle. We seem to get pretty good races there most of the time, I think. I don't know. I didn't know that there was a Pocono hate club, but apparently your brother is the president of that. Laura checking in as well. Hello, she says. Hello, Laura.
Love it. Love everybody in there. Nick, we'll change your mind as we talk about the best, because this is a really good race in my opinion too.
When you win some bets this weekend, that's how it's going to change your mind.
Yep. And when we get to explore the Pocono Mountains, that's going to be the absolute fun there. So, all right, let's talk. I want to first tell you about, before we get too far off, Moon Off the Machine, Manji and Chris. They're getting you ready for the NFL season on the Propcast. They got episode dedicated to season-long props and the awards market as well. Plus, go check out CJ Sullivan and his road to $10 million on the Bottom Line Bombs. You can get these anywhere where you find your favorite podcasts like this one or any other one on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Cody, we talked about it. We are on the Tricky Triangle. It is the Pocono Raceway. This is the Xfinity Series, so we are set for a shorter race. The Explore the Pocono Mountains 225, 90 laps around this 2.5 mile paved triangle for 225 miles exactly. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch these guys go around. Even though Nick says, I don't recall seeing a good Pocono race, but I'm open-minded. Changed his mind about Chicago last week. That's what we're here for.
Hey, yeah, that's exactly what we're here for. Yeah, it's 90 laps. Doesn't seem like a lot, but obviously is a big track. So they're, it takes a while to complete a lap for sure. But yeah, this is going to be exciting. The Xfinity Series is always exciting. As we know, we talked yesterday, comp tracks, not really any, right? You could sort of look back to Michigan last year if you want to. I more use the, mile and a half bigger tracks we've been on this season. And again, current form, I think, means a lot for some people, maybe not for everybody. We'll talk about that in a minute. We did mention yesterday to keep an eye and take notes this week in the Cup Series because it might translate to Indy next week. I will say, Rod, don't take notes in the Xfinity Series because at Indy next week and then Michigan coming up as well, they're going to be running the Super Speedway package at these two big tracks, which is going to be something completely different for us to handicap because I don't really know how that's going to work out. But not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but should be fun. There has been some news today, Rod. Would you like to talk about the news?
I would love to talk about the news, Cody. I know that there's somebody that's got a little bit lighter pocket today as they walk into work.
I mean, I say news, but it's kind of sort of all things we saw coming. But Bubba Wallace was fined $50,000. No other penalties from Chicago, meaning that NASCAR also agrees with me and Jeff Gluck that the incidents were not the same. I don't want to hear about Hendrick favoritism. They got penalized last year for the louvers. Chase Elliott got suspended when he did something wrong. Anyways, we're putting it to bed. I'm still waiting for somebody to send me a video of Chase Elliott's tiny little bump against Suarez being as aggressive as the one to Bubba did where Bowman's tire left the ground and then he hit the wall. So nobody appears to have that video. So if you can find that, send it to me, please. But anyways, moving on from that, Rod, Noah Gragson, multi-year deal to run for Front Row Motorsports. Does a multi-year deal mean a lot? Well, he signed a multi-year deal last year to race for SHR, so not. But that's how it goes. So he will be going over to Front Row Motorsports. They did say Bob Jenkins, the owner over there, said, well, first of all, he said they're going to have 3 young but experienced drivers in 2025. Only 2 drivers have been announced, so that leads you to believe, obviously, the third guy is going to be a young guy. Bob Pockris did say he feels like Zane Smith is a possibility. He could return. Of course, we know he left Front Row in the trucks, went over to to Trackhouse, who's got a multi-year deal with in the Cup, but they loaned him out to Spire. But his ride's been filled for next year with McDowell, who's coming from Front Row, so he's possibly in the mix. Sam Mayer, Christian Eckes, also possibly in the mix, according to Bob Pockris. And Pockris says Corey Heim is staying in the Toyota camp. So I don't know if he's officially reporting this, but he doesn't say he thinks. He says Heim is staying in the Toyota camp. I would expect him to remain in the 2311 pipeline. Would expect more Cup starts in 2025, not a full season. Depends on how many races Truex would do. So maybe 2311 will field a 4th car, a non-chartered car, assuming they get a 3rd car even, I guess. That would split time between Truex and Smith or in Heim, I guess. I don't know. But interesting. Trucks are Xfinity full-time TBD, but would lean toward another season in the trucks, Bob says, for Corey Heim. So interesting kind of thing there, because I'd kind of heard Corey Heim's name mentioned for 2311 or mentioned for some of these other rides, but maybe not so much, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, news that we saw coming, right? The bubble wall is fine, no points. That's kind of what we expected. Noah Gragson to front row we talked about yesterday. But I did kind of the who Bob at least thinks are some of these guys that could potentially take this ride. I think is interesting. Mayer's name's been kind of the most popular one here of late, so I think could potentially be one of those three guys.
Gragson had a multi-week deal with SHR. Just want to clear that up. He didn't read the contract.
Yeah, you got to read the fine print.
Yeah, it was multi-week deal, so it didn't necessarily say how many weeks, but it was out there. Yeah, no surprise. We knew that was coming.
It was multi-year. It started on December 31st of 23 and ends in 24. So I mean, again, you really got to watch the fine print on these contracts, guys.
I don't ever read contracts, which is why I'm still in the military. For some reason, I tried to get out, and they were like, "No, you were never out. You're still in." So that's my fault for that. But yeah, no, and again, for all of these drivers that are looking for homes, this is going to make for a more. I mean, remember a couple of seasons ago when we were talking through all of these moves, and I think Chastain was one of the ones that we had talked about back in the day. We were like, "Oh, I wonder how Chastain's going to do for Trackhouse," and then like all of a sudden, here we are now kind of going through that motion again. There's a bunch of open rides, bunch of guys that are going to make some moves in all three series too. I mean, this is, we're going to talk about a guy that's coming back down to the Xfinity series that I think, he's probably welcoming this to get back down and run in a place that he's comfortable with and in a series that he's comfortable with too. So yeah, I mean, a lot of silly stuff going on already in silly season.
Yeah, I'm notorious saying I love Corey Heim, but let's not fast track the kid. Give him some time. Are we fast tracking him? I mean, he's dominated the Truck Series last season. He's dominating the Truck Series again this season. How much more do you need to see out of him? I mean, and they say the trucks are more relatable to the Cup Series than the Xfinity cars. So, I mean, yeah, more time is always good, right, to develop more. But I don't know that it would be fast tracking him if you move him up there.
And who else though too could you be moving up at that point? Because if you look at the trucks and if you look at Xfinity, we talk about how a lot of these same names, and we're going to talk about most of the same names again, continue to rise to the top in this one. So Corey Heim's been one of the more dominant names in that truck series anyways. So you put him up in the Xfinity and he's had success. And
honestly, I would say like if Sam Mayer were to get the ride, he's being fast tracked more than Corey Heim. Personally, I think Corey Heim probably more ready for it. Yes, Sam Mayer, 4 wins last season in Xfinity. He's had a good season this year too, but I don't know. To me, Corey Heim seems more like a cup-ready driver. I think Mayer would be fine after some time. But yeah, interesting, I guess. So,
look, these are all kids that are still not even old enough to drink yet. So I think they're all being fast-tracked, if you ask me. This is me shaking my fist at the cloud saying, all you youngins out there.
And get off his lawn while you're at it.
Get off my lawn and quit spinning donuts out there on that lawn. I want a pristine lawn when I get back. All right, let's start talking about Pocono. Let's start laying out some Xfinity car series bets. But we'll do it on the other side of the break. Let's tell you first about Underdog Fantasy. Cody, what were you going to say before I jumped off to Underdog Fantasy?
Well, I was going to laugh at your Xfinity car, like you combined Xfinity and IndyCar or something, but
I did.
It was great.
It was Xfinity car race. I told you I'm an old man. I'm shaking my fist out at the air.
We're going to talk about the Busch series after this. Stay tuned, friends.
Stay tuned for the nationwide. Pick 8 is now live in Underdog Fantasy. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog Fantasy will automatically double flex your entry so you can't miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and more extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever, which is why I'm checking my watch for a heart attack risk because, as I've said before, I'm old. And the best part about it, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can also use specials and boost on all flexed entries. Can't wait to make my pick 8. We'll give you all of our favorite Underdog Fantasy plays as we always do at the end of the week. So don't miss your chance to try it out before it is gone. Sign up today with promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Circa contests have no Rake. Circa Millions pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week, compete for $6 million, or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere in the world. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP. You don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football ultimate contest weekend is a great time to sign up and go hang out with Sean and Ryan and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sportsbook in the world, August 22nd through August the 24th. I'm not that far away from Vegas. I probably will try to make that out there. I'm all about trying to make it to Vegas as much as humanly possible. Unfortunately, it's been a very long time since I've been there, so I don't know if the city's moved last time I went out there.
You never know. Climate change is crazy, Rob. Things happen. So.
It's real.
All right. Should we get to the entry list for the Xfinity race?
Let's do it.
We have 39 cars for 38 spots, so one driver will go home. Some notable entries this week. Daniel Dye back in the 10 car for Colleague. Josh Berry is going to step in the 15 car. Of course, we know that they're kind of turning that into an all-star ride at this point. So we'll see how Josh Berry does on a triangle. I don't think he'll maybe do as good as Logano did last week, but maybe we'll talk about that at some point today. William Byron stepping down from the Cup Series into the Xfinity Series once again in the number 17 for Hendrick. Tay Gray is back in the number 19 car, Rod. We will definitely be talking about him this week. Ryan Truex as well in the number 20 car. So no Gibbs and John Hunter this week. Instead, it's Taylor Gray, Ryan Truex, and Mr. Corey Heim, who we just talked about, is back in the 26 car, which he's had some success in for Sam Hunt here recently. So 39 cars, 38 spots, fairly notable entry list.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of names on there that are popping back up again, and notable names too in the Xfinity Series, as it were. So definitely going to be interested to see how these drivers do in unfamiliar rides for sure. Nick Fortune checking in saying, good evening, Hot Rod and Sassy Cody. Listen, I'm even hotter now. This is 107 degrees out.
I wasn't going to say anything, Rod, but I thought so too.
Yeah, I'm a little bit hotter now. That we broke the record. Well, we broke our streak yesterday of triple digits, which didn't break the record, thankfully. But like that meant that it was 98 instead of 105.
That's a big difference. All right, you save those 7 degrees. That's a lot.
I had to put a jacket on. I was cold. I was getting kind of cold out there. So
Jessica wants to know if it's Heim time. Maybe not on Saturday, but you have to tune in tomorrow to find out if it's Heim time on Friday.
Yep, my watch is already going off about that one. So, all right, Cody, let's say we start loading up some bets for this Xfinity Car Series race.
All right, Rod, I think this will make some of our listeners happy. I think that some of them are not big fans of Mr. Sheldon Creed, and I am on the Fade Sheldon Creed train this week, Rod. So we're going to start over at Caesars. Give me the head-to-head matchup. Sammy Smith versus Sheldon Creed. This is minus 115 either way on some books, but Caesars has the Sammy Smith side at plus 110. So I like that. Sammy Smith over Sheldon Creed. I'm going to talk a lot today, to nobody's surprise, about Gibbs Toyotas, how fast they should be, how good they should be. But here is the thing. Sheldon Creed's been on a pretty good tear here as of late, Rod, right? He's had a bunch of finishes. He's run really well. Short tracks, road courses. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger tracks we've been on. Charlotte, 36th place. Texas, 19th place, and managed to take out 2 of his teammates in the race. Las Vegas, 26th. You even want to look at Nashville a couple of weeks ago, 33rd. None of those are good finishes. Those are sort of the 4 bigger tracks that we've been on. Obviously not the super speedway tracks, but the mile and a half that we've been on. It's kind of the only thing we have to compare this to as far as, something close. So if you look at all 4 of those races for Sammy Smith, 3rd at Charlotte, well, that's a lot better than 36th. 8th at Texas, that's a lot better than 19th. 8th at Las Vegas. A lot of consistency here, right? We're 3 for 3, finishing in the top 8 so far. 8th at Vegas, 26th for Creed it was. Even in Nashville, where Smith finished in 30th, he still beat Sheldon Creed, who finished in 33rd. Now, last season, Sheldon Creed did finish 11th place here in the number 2 car, so not a bad finish by any means. But guess what? Sammy Smith was in 6th place. So it's a clean sweep on everything that I'm looking at for Sammy Smith over Sheldon Creed. Sammy Smith, not a super sexy name, right? We've kind of come to that. But the fact that he just kind of continues to get nice, solid finishes. I know that Creed has got some momentum. The last couple of weeks, maybe he's kind of cooled off a little bit, but he's got some momentum here lately. But it's all been shorter tracks, and he's got a pretty solid path of he's not been good on the intermediates, which is what Pocono kind of falls into that category. So fade Sheldon Creed. And this is not the only way that I'm going to fade Sheldon Creed for the record. But the first way I will fade him is the Sammy Smith over Sheldon Creed plus 110 over on Caesars.
Sheldon Creed is on my no-fly zone at all. I've been burned one too many times. A lot like the guy that I'm about to give out as well. This is going to be one where a lot of you guys are going to clutch your chest and probably keel over because you're going to hear me disparage a name on this list of guys that I used to adore and I still adore. Like, I still love me some Sheldon Creed, like my favorite Canadian that's not a Canadian from California, but
I love Sheldon Creed too, and like I plan on betting on Sheldon Creed again, and we're going to get a good number on him later on in the season where we're going to be able to jump on it and get on him. But it just, there's a pattern of he's not been very good on these bigger tracks. I'm going to ride with that. Plus, that Sheldon Creed can do Sheldon Creed things and tends to fuck stuff up a lot, right? So he'll either finish second place or 36th place, and we're kind of hoping on the 36th place. JDK wants to know if we mentioned the guy driving the 35 Joey Gase ride. I think he might be doing the trucks as well. Stephen Malozzi? Is he worth mentioning? Unless you've seen something different, that's who's driving the 35. And I did not think he was worth mentioning, Rod.
Yep. I was gonna say you just did. So all right. I'll move on to my first bet as I clear my throat as I prepare to just weep openly on this show. If I told you that a driver finished 5th and 4th in their only 2 Xfinity Series races on the Pocono Raceway, you would say to me that is the guy that you to take in a head-to-head matchup against anybody, correct?
This is going to backfire so badly.
That's fine. I'm hoping it backfires. God, I really hope this backfires.
Oh, this is me with Kyle Busch the last couple of weeks.
Well, there
you bet against him and hope he does well.
Then this is what I'm doing. So I'll be happy either way. If AJ Allmendinger, who is the owner of a 5th place finish and a 4th place finish at the Pocono Raceway in the Xfinity Series, does not finish or does finish better than Jesse Love, who I am taking. Let me get that more convoluted for you, shall I? I am taking Jesse Love over AJ Allmendinger in this head-to-head. Superbook has this at minus 120. Listen, this is more about what AJ Allmendinger has failed to do for himself and for us this season. He has been so utterly frustrated for more than he should be. I mean, he was a championship contender a couple of seasons ago in the Xfinity Series, which is why he came back down to do that, right?
He was the regular season champion.
Yes.
22. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he was in contention for the whole thing. Average finish of 14th this season, right? Tracks he should be doing well on, he's not. Chicago Street Course, 11th. Sonoma, 17th. Portland was a good finish. That's fine. But, you know, you look at all these other places that Phoenix, if you want to talk about some straight flat things, 18th place there, just disappointing finishes all over the place, right? At 35th at Darlington, 37th at Iowa, even recently, right? An 11th place in Loudon. That 7th place at Nashville was great, but I don't know what it is about this 16 team. We just talked about them just getting in their head. If the littlest thing goes wrong, it's like this is what happens, and he turns himself off. Whereas Jesse Love, his average finish not that much better, right? Not much better than AJ Allmendinger overall. 12th place finish average 12.4, but he did finish 3rd in Nashville. He did come off of a top 5 finish in Chicago. He's actually won a race this season where AJ Allmendinger hasn't. A 5th place in Richmond, 2nd place at Phoenix. I mean, we all know that Jesse Love is fully capable of running around the front in a top 5 car. And I'm telling you that if all things are considered, I don't have Jesse Love as a top 5 car outright this week. But what I would say is it would not surprise me if he was. And AJ Allmendinger, despite his track record here, and again, guys, I mean, I know JDK says I knew Rod was going to mention Dinger, just didn't think it was going to be a fade. Look, and Jessica the Dinger out, and Bush, let's hope next season. Look, here's the thing, okay? This is going to backfire. So you can take the other end of this if you feel like I've not made the strong enough case. But I'm just looking at what AJ Allmendinger has just done this season alone, and just saying there is something to be said about finishing 11th in Chicago last week. That's going to go a long way in not preparing him for this week. So I know he does well on this track. I know he's run well in the past, but he's done well on road courses, and this season has not been his issue. So give me Jesse Love over AJ Allmendinger minus 120.
And this completes the masterclass on how Cody Zeeb gets through Husker football season. You bet against him. It's called the emotional hedge, my friends. So yeah, JDK and I were exchanging messages in the DMs last night, and he sends me the screenshot of AJ as one of the top drivers on driver averages. He goes, "No way Rod can handle looking at this and not mention AJ." So you got the opposite side of it. He does mention AJ, but goes the other way. JDK tossing out Love top 5 at plus 350 as well. If you like that, I think that's all right, but I don't think either of us have that on our card.
No, and really this against AJ is me planning for something to happen a lot like you were talking about Sheldon Creed doing Sheldon Creed things. When AJ Allmendinger does AJ Allmendinger things, it's like when Rod does Rod things and just completely leaves himself out in the lurch. So gotta love that. All right, we'll come back with more bets, but take this opportunity to tell you about Rhythm. You're betting on player props and you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is a go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data and actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Rhythm predictions have been red hot for WNBA and golf as well. So claim that 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
All right, Rod, we're going to continue on the fade Sheldon Creed train for all the same reasons that I faded him before are the same reasons that I am fading him again. This time with his teammate in this race, Ryan Truex. This one is over on Bet365, minus 115 either way. Give me the Truex side of this. Truex has only been in this car a couple of times this season, as we know. There's been some road courses. There's been some super speedways. Mixed bag of results, as you would expect on those types of things. But in the other races, won at Dover, 7th place at Texas. He also won at Dover last year. That might just be a Dover thing. But to the point of he can be good in this car. We know that these JGR cars are fast. We know these JGR cars are good. If this was John Hunter Nemechek or Ty Gibbs in this, it'd be one of the favorite cars to win the race. It's a little farther down the board because it is Truex, but yes, there's obviously a talent gap between those guys and Truex, but Truex is a very good driver. He's done well in this car. It's going to be a fast car. Now, Sheldon Creed obviously is in the same car. It's also a JGR car. It should be fast, but Sheldon Creed's going to fuck it up is kind of what we're planning on here because that's what he's done at all the big tracks so far this season. So same reason I faded Creed before, fading him again here. This time it's with Ryan Truex. So give me Ryan Truex over Sheldon Creed, minus 115 over on Bet365.
Yeah, again, this is more about what Sheldon Creed can do for you rather than what anybody else can do instead. So I do love it. Yeah, and Ryan Truex, I don't think either one of us have him.
Yeah, I put him back in.
Yeah, you did. You did. I thought so.
We'll talk about it later, but I was waffling between two things. I couldn't decide, so I took them both.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of what I thought. I was like, yeah, that's there. Okay. We're working on that. All right. Well, then my next one is going to be a big surprise for a lot of folks. This number is crazy large, but when you look at some of what's happening with Parker Kligerman lately, you think to yourself, this is priced right. I would love a top 10 at half of this. Oh my God. I would take a top 10 for Parker Kligerman at half of this at 6-1. But instead, because we don't have top 10s, and can't boycott it because we got to make this show and got to put it out for you. I'm gonna give you a top 5. Maybe there's a little bit of craziness that goes on. Maybe the tricky triangle opens up and swallows up a couple of the top cars, and Parker Kligerman's in 7th or 8th, where I think he's probably going to run for most of the day and gets his way into the top 5. So at 12-1, both Bet365 and Hard Rock have this number for Parker Kligerman at 12-1, and Parker Kligerman has had the one race so far on this as an Xfinity Series driver. He finished 9th. started 22nd and finished 9th in that 48 machine. So that's already encouraging to know that he can move up, has the speed in that 48, at least last season, to move up all those positions to find himself in the top 9. If he'd have qualified better, who knows? Maybe that would have been a top 5 car. You look at who was in the top 5 at the time. It was Austin Hill, who won this race last year, Sam Mayer, Chase Elliott, Riley Herbst, Daniel Hemrick, Sammy Smith, Brandon Jones, Brett Moffitt, and then Parker Kligerman. So take out Brett Moffitt right off the jump, right? Because that's not going to happen again. Probably take out Brandon Jones because we know that Brandon Jones is really
what.
I'm just saying. I know you've got a top 5 bet on him, but you got to okay. Look at fine. This one we can agree on. Take out Daniel Hemrick, right? And take out Chase Elliott. So this is going to be closer than you think at the end of the day to a top 5 finish for Parker Kligerman, because this season, like we said, he's been in and around the top 10 for a better part of these races that you wanted to. 8 top 10 finishes in 18 starts, 4th place last week at Chicago. I know it's a road course, but again, running well is running well. I don't care what kind of track you're on half the time. Running well is running well. Confidence boost is a confidence boost no matter where you're at. 7th place at Loudon, 8th at Portland, a road course I know, 6th at Darlington, 7th at Richmond, 5th at Austin, 8th at Phoenix. All these have been close enough finishes, and at points he was running inside of the top 10, if not leading some of these races, right? He was leading at Talladega, which was fun, super speedway. I know five laps he led at Martinsville. So yeah, I'm just saying, to me, I think this is going to be a sneakier play than you think it's going to be, because you don't necessarily equate Parker Kligerman with top 5s all the time. But on this track, he moved up enough spots to give me confidence that he can do it again, and maybe a better starting position this season, like he's had for most of the time. Average start right now of 10th place. So he starts 10th place. I think a 5th place finish for him is well within his realm of possibilities. So give me Parker Kligerman 12-1 for a top 5.
I like it. I don't mind some long shot top 5s this week either, because a guy like Parker can actually just get it done in general. And we saw some speed, especially last season, on the intermediates from him. They definitely figured some stuff out over there. But Pocono's a track with a weird history of weird shit just happening. Last year, Xfinity race turned into a fuel mileage race at the end of the day. Get something like that. A guy like Kligerman plays it right. They could easily get that top 5. You've had the fog shortened race where Chris Buescher gets his first career win at front row in the 34 back in the day. Ryan Blaney won his first career race here in the Wood Brothers car. Denny Hamlin won both races here in his rookie season, all the way back in 2006 when we came here twice. Like, just weird stuff seems to happen. We've seen Pocono be a fuel mileage race more times than I can count. A little different with the stages now, but even last year worked out in the Xfinity series to be that way. And the way we've seen shit be weird here the last couple of weeks in NASCAR, who knows what could happen. So, yeah, I do like this bet. JDK last night in the Discord chat, Rod, he says this was his pregame breakdown. He wrote up a little, it's like an article basically. You write up the game preview. This is how he felt like things were going to go. I feel like a lot of JRM bets incoming this weekend. There's a decent amount on there, right? I'm certain you'll be sadistic and find a way to bet on Brandon Jones and Sammy Smith. Well, I already talked about Sammy Smith. And we all know Rod's going to be all over Allgaier this week, too. Don't worry, Rod has an Allgaier bet coming up. And I am all over Brandon Jones. Give me Brandon Jones, top 5, plus 400. You know him. You love him. Rod, I will say this like I do every time I bet on Brandon Jones. This is going to go one of two ways. He's either going to run in the top 5 all day and get a top 5, or he's going to finish in 33rd place, because that's pretty much how it goes. But this is the type of track where Brandon Jones can show up and have a good day. You look back at Charlotte, 2nd place there. Look back at Las Vegas, again, 2 degrees kind of away from being a comp track here. 9th place there. I know it's not a top 5, but he's in the mix, right? He did finish 7th place here last season. That's also in the mix for a top 5, of course. 3rd at Michigan last year, which, again, the most comparable track we have to Pocono. 2nd place at Kansas last year as well. Again, another close comparison to Michigan, which compares here. So give me Brandon Jones, top 5 at 4-1. I mean, he's one of the most hit and miss guys. Brandon Jones is almost like Joey Logano in a way, but you seem to get better numbers on him. And I don't want to say he's more predictable on where he can be good at, but he sort of is, because he's got certain track styles he likes. It's like Martinsville and big intermediate tracks. That's basically where you're going to bet on Brandon Jones, and on the super speedway sometimes too. But I do like Brandon Jones. I actually put him in the document when I created the doc this week. I put 3 drivers' names in here, Rod. I didn't even know the numbers on all of them. But I wrote Brandon Jones top 5 in here. It didn't matter what the number was going to be, but I wanted the top 5. It's 4-1. I'll take it. Give me Brandon Jones finishing the top 5 at 4-1 on Bet365.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a bet.
Rod's very sold, if you can't tell.
I'm not at all sold. Almost a lot like this is gonna bite you. Almost like the AJ Allmendinger one's gonna bite me.
It probably will, but 4-1, it's worth a stab. And you go into this bet knowing if Brandon Jones doesn't, you're not going to be upset because he's not supposed to finish in the top 5, Rod. It doesn't generally happen. Another thing to all the chaos that could happen, I mentioned all the fog, all the other stuff. Jessica says, please don't rain. That's a fucking possibility this weekend because, well, mostly because NASCAR's in town, but also because it's, Pocono and it rains there. So we end up with some weird, it starts raining. Again, this is a 2.5 mile track, triangle shape. So it goes this way and that way. So it might be raining over here and sunny over here, but we might not be able to race. Obviously, no rain tires. A guy like Kligerman's top 5, we end up having to cancel the race early. Something like that could cash in that way too. So another element to add on to all of the crazy shit that can happen at a track like this.
Yeah, we're talking 3 drag strips with 3 different corners in this, and 3 distinctly different corners in all of this too. So not for the faint of heart for sure. Which is why, if you are a betting person, which you are, I'm going to offer you a Josh Berry top 5 plus 700 over on Hard Rock. 7-1 for a Josh Berry top 5. I get it. I know this 15 car.
I don't even hate this as much as I want to.
I know you want to hate it, but we talk about it all the time, Cody, about a driver elevating equipment, because when you put a guy like Josh Berry behind the wheel of the 15, again, we're not talking about Haley Deegan's talent. This is not even about her talent at all. This is just about she's not Josh Berry, and we all know this. This is not even a surprise comparison to anybody, right? Josh Berry on this track in particular, though, has had 2 top 10 finishes and was 2 laps of stinking overtime away from actually winning this race. He was leading on the last overtime, got into it with Austin Hill a little bit, and he got bounced and ended up finishing 24th on that. But he led 51 laps of this race, steady climbing. And that 9th place finish, that first 9th place finish that he had, was in the 31. I talked about this on the betting episode for the Cup Series because I gave Josh Berry out again. I think it's a top 10 in that instance. But started 33rd in the first race that he was ever at, finished 9th. He had the speed in the 31 Jordan Anderson car to ride through the field. Jordan Anderson car. I'm gonna reiterate that because the 15, obviously, we know is probably along the same lines of that as we're talking not top level equipment like Junior Motorsports, right? So with Junior Motorsports, he got a 3rd place finish and almost won the race last year. So to me, that screams Josh Berry as a top 5. I understand, and I know the books are probably thinking to themselves, well, he's in that 15 car. 15 car is not good. Well, but Josh Berry is. And Josh Berry has the talent to take that 15 car into the top 5. I'm not asking him to win. I'm not asking him to do a top 3 even, because the top 3 number, Cody, was juicy as all get out. But I was like, not gonna go there. Not gonna try it. I'll settle for 7-1 as a top 5 because I feel like that is a safer place for him to be. It's a place where he's been before. He knows what it's like to be in the front in this track. So yeah, give me Josh Berry. Even in that 15 car, I'm not scared by it at 7-1 for a top 5.
Yeah, I'm the last person to jump on the Josh Berry train, but actually I love this number. It's way too high for a guy that's this talented. You know how good he's been here. You just laid out the case for that. You look at the 15 car, I understand Haley had a very rough season. Things weren't great. If you go back to last year, Brett Moffitt continually, what we think was overperformed in that, top 10s all the time, flirting with top 5s here and there. I love Brett Moffitt, former Cup Series Rookie of the Year, Truck Series champion. But Josh Berry, I think, is probably a little bit on the next level, right? This now we kind of knew a little more in advance than the Logano thing. Does the SHR have a little bit of a hand? Do they send an engineer over with Josh Berry to set up a few things on this car and help them out? Logano drove it to 8th place last week, not because he was an 8th place type of driver, but because he was smart. He avoided the chaos and he got there at the end. Berry's the type of guy who could do that as well. 7-1, I do agree with you. It's just too big of a number for who it is. I understand the 15 car can be scary, and that's why originally I kind of laughed, but as you start to get into it, I'm thinking it's not really that much of a stretch for him to get into the top 5. Is he going to go lead 90 laps and win this race? No, he's
He
not.
could,
But
though.
no, he's not, Rod. But he can finish in the top 5 at the end of the day, and at 7-1, it's definitely worth the number that you're getting at. So I do like it. All right, Rod, I've got a couple of top 3 bets that I would like to give out. And to nobody's surprise again, they are in the not the JRN camp, the JGR camp, the Joe Gibbs Racing camp. Give me Chandler Smith, top 3 at plus 225. I wanted a way to bet on Chandler Smith, Rod, but I don't have enough guts to bet on him to win the race. So we're going to go the safe route, take him top 3. It's been up and down for him here lately, right? But go back to Las Vegas. 3rd place finish there, led 74 laps on the day, led 26 laps at Texas. Sheldon Creed completely fucked him up, and he still ended up coming back to finish in like 15th. So not a bad day after getting fucked over by his teammate. In 2022 at Pocono, led 49 laps in the Truck Series and won the race. So he's got winning experience here. I think he'll show up and be fast. He's in one of those JGR cars. They're going to be fast. They're going to be good. Yes, William Byron's in this field, but you don't have John Hunter. You don't have Ty Gibbs. I think that's an advantage for Chandler. I think this would be a great place for him to get back on the ship. Don't have enough faith in him to go for the win, but I do have a faith in him. I think plus 225 is a good number for the top 3. If he can be close to the win, if he wins, great. We still cash the bet on him. I think he can finish in the top 3 at the end of the day. So give me Chandler Smith. And then Rod, Tay, for all you shifties out there, and I know the Discord's all over him already, 15-1 for a Joe Gibbs Racing car to finish inside the top 3. Not only that, but it's Taylor Gray driving this. He finished 4th place in Las Vegas. I rest my case. That was in the trucks, but I rest my case because that's close to the top 3, and it's in a fast, good truck at a pretty comparable track to this one. I'll take it. He had a 3rd place finish at Richmond in this particular car earlier this season. Now, the mile and a half's not quite as good to him, 12th and 11th place, but even hanging out in 11th or 12th, if there's a little more chaos at the end, whatever the case may be, to get up inside that top 3, this is just too good of a car and too good of a driver to be at this big of a number. Give me Taylor Gray, top 3 at 15-1. I peaked at the top 5, but it's only 6-1. I don't know why such a difference in 5th and 6th, or in top 5 and top 3. So 6-1 just wasn't quite big enough for me to want to pull the trigger. He'll probably finish 4th place now. But I think 15-1 is definitely the place to go as far as getting in on Taylor Gray. So yeah, 15-1 for that car. Just it's too good to pass up on. And then Chandler Smith, top 3 as well at plus 225.
If he can finish 5th, he can finish 3rd. We've said that a few times before in our lives. It's the 2-place difference, or the 3-place difference in that is sometimes
only burned us like 500 times on the show.
Yeah,
I'm sure it won't happen.
No. None of these bets are going to burn us in the end. They're all going to cash, every single one of them. There's going to be 10 cars in the top 5, and we're all going to have steak dinner the following evening. So, all right, speaking of top 3s, I will break the seal on Justin Allgaier, and I will give him out as a top 3 car. His number is at plus 140 on Bet365. You can immediately fade this one if you'd like, but I will tell you that Justin Allgaier should be considered for a top 3. His top 5 number is atrocious, which is why top 3 is probably the way to go. All of his matchups too are not necessarily all that attractive to me either. So I think the only way to get in on Justin Allgaier this week is to take this top 3 number. I'm not confident that he can win this race. So I will definitely just settle on the top 3 at plus 140 and call it good. He has had a couple of top 3 finishes on this track. In 2017, he had a 2nd place finish in that 7 car. In 2021, he had a 3rd place finish in that 7 car. But I'll tell you this, in his 8 starts on this track, he's only not led laps, at least one, in 2 of those. So he's led at least 1 lap in 6 of those races, which, by the way, again, means you're running at the front. He led 13 laps in 2017. He led 27 laps in 2020. He led 9 the following year, 10, 22, 8. If you've listened to this show for more than 10 minutes, you know that Justin Allgaier is a guy that I like to bet on because he's continually around the front, right? Whether he finishes there or not sometimes, that's on it. But I talked about who was in this race last year, right? There was Chase Elliott was in there. Daniel Hemrick was in there. Brett Moffitt was in there. Daniel Suarez was in there. So all of these guys that were in this race, didn't help. I will say that at the end of stage 2, Justin Allgaier was in second place at the end of that stage. So again, he was there. He was running around doing some stuff, good stuff. In 2022, Noah Gragson, Ty Gibbs was in that race. Then you also had let's see, outside of that, so it was 2. Take out those 2, he's in the top 5. Again, Sheldon Creed, AJ Allmendinger. I'm not putting either one of those guys in there. So you take those other 2 out. Now he's in the top 4. Sam Mayer is up there as well. You get the picture, right? There's drivers that were racing in those races that are no longer there. In 2021, it was Austin Cindric, Ty Gibbs, Noah Gragson, AJ Allmendinger, Daniel Hemrick, Brandon Jones. Again, I'm making a case that Justin Allgaier has been a damn good driver for this entire season, right? The finishes have kind of made you pull out your hair more often than not, but we know that this car is capable of winning. We know this car is capable of running inside of the top 5. We know this car is capable of running in the top 3. So give me Justin Allgaier, top 3 finish, plus 140. And much like the AJ Allmendinger one, when this doesn't cash, I will cry.
It took longer than he thought for the JDK, but he has reached a bingo. So congratulations to you. I've got more thoughts on Justin Allgaier coming up, so I will save those. I am notorious checking in. See, that's my concern with Pocono. It stretches out too much. Difference between top 5 and top 3 can be like 10 seconds. That could be any track, though. I mean, really. But how often lately have we seen big stretched out finishes like that? It seems like every week in every series we're getting late cautions that change the outcome of everything and usually screw our bets over. But maybe sometimes they can help, right? And then we'll take it when it lands on the good side. All right, Rod, this was the very first bet that I put into the dock this week. I wanted to save it till towards the end because I'm very excited for it. He's going to get his first career win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series next week in Indianapolis. So make sure you tune in next week for me to give out that picks. But he's going to finish in the top 5 this week. Ryan Sieg, 12-1. The fucking disrespect on this man's name, Rod. It is ridiculous. 7th place at Charlotte, 2nd place at Texas, 7th place at Las Vegas. He was in the mix here last season before he got spun out late on the fuel mileage thing. Everything was working out good for him. Previously, 15th place here in 2022, 17th in 21, 12th in 2020, before they had that deal with Stuart Haas, before it was the upgraded partnership, when he was just doing his thing, having okay runs. Now he stepped it up. We've seen him be really good and really fast on the bigger tracks. Seems like the intermediate tracks is where they're really taking advantage of that Stuart Haas partnership. Ryan Sieg has showed up with great cars, great runs. I do think he's going to be the winner next week at Indianapolis because he's going to use the draft package in the Super Speedway package to his advantage. So I will definitely be on him in multiple ways next week, maybe even car lifting him, but he's going to kick it off with a top 5 finish this week. 12-1 when he's got 3 top 7 finishes on intermediate tracks this season, Rod. Absolutely ridiculous. Maybe he will win this week. Maybe we'll talk about that in a minute. But 12-1, top 5 for sure. Book it on Ryan Sieg.
The frustrating thing about Ryan Sieg is that when he does run well, you're like, see, I told you that's what Ryan Sieg is. And then all of a sudden when he doesn't, you're like, well, it's Ryan Sieg. And so you don't know how to feel.
That's the nice thing too. Well, it's sort of Brandon Jones. I'd say Brandon Jones is more that than Sieg, but that's the thing about 12-1. Like if he just comes out and runs 20th all day, well, it was 12-1. It really didn't have that good of a chance of hitting, right? But you're going to see the flashes of speed. You're going to see him up front, and they're going to comment on the broad. Wow, look at this run Ryan Sieg's having. Who would have saw this coming? If you listen to the show, you would have saw it coming too, but that's okay.
But never mind that. Just know that that's exactly what we're talking about. So, all right, gonna give out my winning car number pick for this race. I am selecting the winning car to be under 16.5. This is a plus money, and it should surprise nobody why I think that this is going to be under 16.5 because you got guys like Cole Custer. You guys got like Sam Mayer, Jesse Love, who I'm putting in the top 5, right? And Sam Mayer, who Cody's talked about already. No, he hasn't talked about Sam Mayer actually, but he did talk about Brandon Jones, who is in there as well. You got Allgaier, you got Sammy Smith, you got Daniel Dye, yeah, buddy, and you got Josh Berry. So I think there are quite a few heavy hitters, and honestly, this is set at 16.5 because a guy that we have not talked about at all, other than saying his name once, William Byron, is sitting in that 17 car. Now you say, Rod and Cody, why have you only brought his name up for just 1 second in this? And I'll tell you right now, that 17 car, while it's all flashy and shiny, William Byron is struggling right now. William Byron is probably down here because he needs some laps to shake off the last few races for him and to get some laps in for Pocono coming in on Sunday. But I'm telling you right now, that type of the reason that line is set the way it is because they're giving William Byron the other end of that. And let's just tell you that it's juiced way too much on the other end of that because of that. And I think if you're going to find value, you'll find value in those JRM drivers that are underneath 16.5. Like I said, Josh Berry, will he win this race? Probably not, but it covers you if he does, and you have money on it just in case he does. Somebody that I'm going to talk about here in a second as well. It's not underneath that, but I believe that, Cole Custer is another good dark horse, which we haven't even talked about because Cole Custer scares the hell out of us. But Cole Custer has done some pretty good things on this track in his career as well. So yeah, you're covered on all sorts of angles on this one, but suffice it to say, I think under 16.5 is the best value that you can get on there. Like I said, Cole Custer, he's won this race already in 2019, a 5th place, a 7th place, but the last 2 seasons have been a 10th place and a 33 place finish, which is why I can't give you in good conscience a Cole Custer bet.
This is just Rod's way of betting on AJ Allmendinger without telling you he's betting on AJ Allmendinger. But no, actually, I do think that there's a much bigger group of people underneath this number. To the William Byron thing, we've not really talked about him today. He's plus 110 for a top 3. He's plus 350 to win the race. Really not any other way you'd be able to get in on him. He's had 2 starts in the 17 car this year, Rod, at Darlington and Phoenix, so tracks that aren't wild cards where he should do well. How many laps do you think he's led in that 17 car, Rod?
I'm going to go ahead and say if there's a negative number, I'd take that one. But
I would 0. Too, because if you could buy a value, it's 0, and that would be the correct number. 23rd at Phoenix, 11th at Darlington. So, like Phoenix, he got wrecked early, or he wrecked himself early in that race. But that's the types of things that can happen. And he's not impressed overly in that, and he's not impressed overly in the Cup Series here lately. So I was listening to a thing today about how the hot hand is a real thing, when it comes to a basketball player or whatever. Well, we talk about that in racing a lot too, and I don't think William Byron has that hot hand. So, over this, you're a little bit exposed as far as the JGR cars go, which I think could all be in the mix. But, they're all a little bit longer shots. Maybe we'll cover some of those in the outrights as well. The Herps, the Hills, but those guys are going to probably more luck into the win than get it. But underneath, you get all the JRM cars, and you get some other strong cars. So I think that this is the correct side to be on. You're getting the proper number at plus 105 as well. JDK bringing up Mayer as well. Mayer's odds are short this week, but I think he should have won last year. I definitely looked hard at Mayer. I wanted to find some ways to get in on him. 7-1 for outright is definitely worth looking at. It's not been the juicy number we've been getting on him. But he definitely, you could consider him. I couldn't find a way that I like to work him in this week. But I may end up grabbing some Sam Mayer at some point somewhere down the line. All right, Rod, should we get to the outrights?
I believe we should.
Let's do that. Okay, I was going back and forth to the top of the board here. I wanted one guy, I had him in the dock. I saw you didn't put the other guy in the dock, which I thought you might. Then I'm like, fuck, I want that guy. So I took the other guy out. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to miss on this guy. So I just left both of them in there. So it's 4 outrights, but really, you're getting some pretty good numbers in all of them. So we're going to start at the top of the board here. Justin Allgaier, plus 450 over on Bet365. That's right. I bet you didn't have it on your bingo card that I'd be the one giving out the Justin Allgaier outright. But this just feels like a Justin Allgaier week, and I don't really know why that is, but I do like Justin Allgaier at this price. Again, I think a better price on him because Byron's in the field, and I'm not overly scared of William Byron. Could William Byron lead all 90 laps, win this race, and kill everyone? Absolutely he could. Not the number he's at, though. Justin Allgaier has proved this year. He's proved it throughout history. He's very good at these tracks. Second place here in his second career start in 2017. Last year, rough, 23rd, right? But that was part of that late race, going into overtime, chaos, all of that stuff. 7th, 3rd, 6th over the previous 3 races, not bad. Led 119 laps when Darlington just a few weeks ago. Led 117 laps at Texas, a bigger intermediate track. Led 40 laps at Charlotte before the piano fell out of the sky. But as much as we joke about the pianos, the anvils on Justin Allgaier, top 9 in 6 of the last 7 races. Maybe that luck is turning around. Maybe he's starting to get that hot hand. Give me Justin Allgaier at plus 450. Ryan Truex, 12-1. I had him in there, took him out, put him back in there. 12-1 for a guy this talented in this fast of a car. Just too big of a number. I talked about him earlier, so I think you got to get on him. Robert checking in the chat. What's up, guys? I'm feeling it's Tay Gray. Time at 40-1. You are absolutely correct, Robert. Give me Taylor Gray. 40-1 for Taylor Gray. For a guy this talented and this fast of a car, should never, ever, ever be anywhere close to 40-1. Yes, it's definitely a little bit of a long shot if he wins. Should not be this big of a long shot. He's in a fast enough car to get it done, and he is talented enough to get it done. I know he doesn't have a Truck Series race yet. Maybe he comes into the Xfinity Series and gets his first career NASCAR win here. 40-1, much like his top 3 number earlier. And you're going to have a mini car lift here with the top 3 at 15-1 and him to win at 40-1. That would be a nice payday if it hits. Way too big of a number. Rod, I told you his first career win is going to come next week in Indianapolis. I stand by that because I think he will win that race, but maybe he'll make it back-to-back by winning a Pocono. Give me Ryan Sieg at 80-1. He's run really good on these. Again, it's just too big of a number. 80-1 for a guy that we've seen be in the top 7 3 times, and he lost Texas by, what, half of an inch on the dog's hair's ball? Like, I mean, it was that short. Like, he was that close to winning. What a story that would be if he does get it done. So give me Ryan Sieg at 80-1. A little bit of a loaded card, but 3 of these guys, pretty big numbers. The numbers are too big to leave them off the board for the talent of the drivers and the speed of the cars that they're in. So Allgaier 450, Truex 12-1, Tay Gray at 40-1, and Ryan Sieg at 80-1.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just, the only reason that I couldn't give Allgaier out as an outright is, one, everybody would laugh at me because that's just the way they are. People are very cruel, and they hate me for liking Allgaier as much as I do. And again, I just, if you are in need of piano services, by the way, in the Pocono area, call Graham Piano Service. He is a registered piano technician. He could probably clean up the pianos on the track after they fall on Allgaier and retune them and put them in perfect.
So, not a manufacturer necessarily, but someone to take care of your pianos there, JDK.
Yep, JDK, there you go. So if you need that, if you need someone to clean up the pianos off the track, Grams will do it for you. But look, so I went the other way with it. And I'm going to take Austin Hill to repeat on this. And I'm only doing it because I found 10-1 on Caesars for that. And the guy that won the race last year, I get it. It's hard to repeat. And I know that he won it in overtime, and Josh Berry should have won that race. But, you know, for Austin Hill to be able to come back and repeat on this at 10-1 is not really that. I mean, it's a good number. Really, ultimately, that's what it all boils down to. This is a good number for a guy that's already won twice. Cody, he is locked into the playoffs. He has 11 top 10 finishes and 18 starts. He's only finished outside of the top 7, or the top 10 rather, 7 times. And one of those was in Iowa, where he started on the pole and ended up crashing out late in that race as well. Martinsville had a pretty bad crash and finished 34th. Talladega, super speedway, but he started on the pole in that one. He's finished 4th at Phoenix, 4th at Vegas, 2nd at Darlington. Just finished 7th last week at the street course, rather, 4th in Nashville. I mean, if anybody can come back and repeat as a win, it's Austin Hill. We know how frustrating it is to bet on Austin Hill this year as a top 5. So screw that. Don't even put him in a top 5. Just say outright at 10-1. And if he wins, that's fantastic. If not, you're covered in a million different ways for him to not win this race. And, you know, again, this is not so much that I think that this is one of those lock bets, but I do believe that you got enough of a value here to get Austin Hill back at it. Like I said, this season alone, he's been one of the machines. Last season, for sure, he was one of the biggest machines. What he's done so far on this track, 3 total races, and he won, like I said, last year, 8th place the year before that, but led laps in that one as well. And then, first career, 25 laps. JDK says Hill last year broke 14 race losing streak. They'll win the Pocono. Kind of on the same streak this year. Yeah, I mean, if
16. He's at 16 this year, Rod.
Yeah.
So maybe he gets it done again. Look, he's a guy that's always going to be there at the end. I think he's only plus 125 for a top 5 this week. That's why he didn't come up. I know it's a bet we obviously give out a lot. Didn't feel like it was worth it at the shorter price, but he's going to be there. He's going to be hanging around. That's what he does. That's how he won this race last year. Easily how he could win this race again this year. So Rod picked Austin Hill over Justin Allgaier. If that doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what else to tell you.
It tells me that I need help. Somebody needs to send help to me quickly because I'm being held hostage. No, listen, like I said, I give out Justin Allgaier so many times over the course of the last couple of seasons that I feel like I just if I'm doing it now, people are like, yeah. Rod giving out Allgaier. That's what he always does. So got to change it up every once in a while to make sure people understand that, I'm not just leaning back on this because I feel like that's an easy pick every week. So, and when Cody gives them out, that it's the pick.
That's when you know it's a for real thing.
And that's when I get validation. So screw everybody out there that says it's an easy pick. I don't care. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our bets for this Explore the Pocono Mountains 225 from the Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Cody started you out with Sammy Smith over Sheldon Creed plus 110 over on Caesars. I gave you Jesse Love over AJ Allmendinger at minus 110 or minus 120 rather on Superbook. Don't want to be accused of making up lines. Cody gives you Ryan Truex over Sheldon Creed at minus 115 over on Bet365. I said Parker Kligerman would be a top 5 car at 12-1. You can find that on 365 or Hard Rock. Cody gave you Brandon Jones as a top 5 car as well at 4-1. I gave you Josh Berry as a top 5 car at 7-1 over on Hard Rock. Cody gave you Chandler Smith as a top 3 car at plus 225 and Taylor Gray at 15-1 as a top 3 car. I said Justin Allgaier would be a top 3 car at plus 140. Hell, if he wins, you cash this bet too over on 365. Cody gave you Ryan Sieg as a top 5 car at 12-1. I said that the winning car number would come underneath the 16.5 number at plus 105. Cody said Justin Allgaier at 4.5-1. Ryan Truex, I almost said Justin Truex. Martin Truex. No, Ryan Truex at 12-1. And then Tay Gray at 40-1. And Ryan Sieg at 80-1 would be the race winners. And I said Austin Hill at 10-1 would win this race. Cody, we've done a lot of damage to the Pocono Raceway. Hopefully the cars won't do the same amount.
And we're not done yet, Rod. Back tomorrow, Truck Series, back in action. So that is great. Feeling good about this Xfinity card. I got to say, when I first started looking, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to find a lot. And then I just kept kind of researching and looking, and I found more things than I could fit on the sheet. So I like it. Should be a good one. And I'm excited for a good week of tricky triangle racing as we win I Am Notorious into a Pocono fan.
I certainly hope so, Nick. I want you to like Pocono. It's a good track, and you were the one that got me into racing in the first place. So how am I going to like Pocono more than you like Pocono? But yeah, here we are at it. All right, yeah, like you said, Cody, I was looking at this thinking, I only have top 5s, I only have top 3s, I only got a couple of matchups that I like, but I did find some good stuff. So I'm glad we dug a little deeper into it and found ourselves some good bets to make. So
great. Hopefully we can do the same thing tomorrow on the truck. Yeah, on the truck episode.
On the truck. What is it? Truck Cars series race?
On the truck series?
truck series race. All right, it's getting late. We should probably go.
All
Everybody.
right, Rod. Follow me on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. All my stuff's over there. There's a lot of it. I do have a bonus article for the NASCAR Cup Series that came out today. And make sure you go check that out, sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Found some extra bets that I like over there. So if you need more bets, which, let's be honest, who doesn't, Rod? That is out over there, along with my PLL All-Star breakdown and pick. So make sure you check that out as well. And back tomorrow with the Truck Series.
Love it. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villa Gomez.
Oh, shit, we're gonna have to argue later this week. We forgot to get our Robert says he likes how we got along tonight, which is not good because we didn't have a big argument. So we'll have to get our once weekly contractual obligation to argue in later this week. So stay tuned.
Totally forgot that this was the episode that we're supposed to fight like tooth and nail on. So we'll find another way to get.
See what happens when I pick a bunch of JRM cars.
Because I love it. See, this is what you got to do each and every week and make everybody uncomfortable when we don't fight. I think they wanted us to fight. They had it on their cards and we missed it. We didn't give them the bingo because we didn't fight. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villa Gomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on. AFL playoffs in full swing. So check out the AFL for both Cody and my work over there for the Arena Football League. Love that. So, all right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for the trucks. And then, of course, to close out the week with DFS. So until then, let's go racing and let it ride.